Hi friends, I'm Megan.
And I'm Jessie.
Jessie, remember how I promised that we would go to the park on Saturday?
Yes, I can't wait to try out my new skateboard.
Well, I want to make you a new promise. On Saturday, we will not only go to the park, but we will go to the zoo too.
Oh wow, Megan. Now I can use my skateboard to outrun the cheetahs. That is an even better promise than the first one.
I don't know about you outrunning cheetahs with your skateboard, Jessie, but I'm glad you are excited about my new promise. In today's Bible story, the prophet Jeremiah told about a new promise God was going to make with his people, an even better promise than the one he had already made. God's promise was called a covenant. Let's listen.
God's people in Judah tried to obey God, but they kept breaking his laws. Why couldn't they just do what he said? Something was wrong. God sent Jeremiah to speak to the people. Jeremiah gave them a message from God. God said that their problem was called sin. The sin was permanent. It was not going to go away on its own. In fact, the sin was spreading. Parents who sinned had children who sinned. Everybody was a sinner.
This was bad news because God had made a covenant or agreement with his people. The agreement said that if God's people obeyed him, God would bless them. But the people did not obey, so God had to punish them for their sin. The people would lose their land, their money, and their possessions. They would even become servants of their enemies.
Jeremiah said that sin made people's hearts tricky. People's hearts trick them into thinking they are very good when they are not. They trick people into wanting things or doing things that God does not want for them. But God had a plan to change people's hearts. God promised to make a new covenant, an even better agreement. This was how God was going to save people from their sins.
The new covenant would not be like the old covenant. In the old covenant, the people had God's commands in writing. They disobeyed his commands and had to make sacrifices every year for their sins. In the new covenant, God was going to write his law on their hearts. He would give the people power to obey him. God said, "I will forgive their wrongdoing and never again remember their sin."
Jeremiah said that God was going to forgive sin and change people's hearts. Jesus made these words come true. God forgives our sin when we trust in his Son, Jesus. Jesus died on the cross to take away our sin. He changes us and gives us power through his Spirit to obey him.